I'm Jay Percy,
and welcome to the Afro Animist Podcast. We are two Abia women and animist conjurers exploring witchcraft, healing, and psychedelics.
The Afro Animist Podcast explores the secular through the spiritual, discussing life experiences through a sacred lens.
Here you'll get to hear talk about philosophy, metaphysics, occultism, shamanism, culture, healing, nature, animism,
the arts, conspiracies, psychedelics, and witchcraft. Nothing is off the table in these discussions, which aim to get to the heart of what it means to be spiritual and Afro-diasporic in an increasingly sterile, authoritarian, and Eurocentric world.
As Afro-Caribbean millennial Londoners, we keep it real whilst exploring the biggest mysteries of our multiverse. Join us in holding this space to cry, laugh, debate, build community, and tear down oppressive structures.
Welcome, beautiful, beautiful being of a multiverse to the Afro Animist Podcast. I think this is an extra special episode today because we're recording together for the first time.
I know, it's kind of weird, but lovely.
It's lovely, but weird.
I'm like, where my elbows going to go? Like, I've got space.
It is absolutely lovely being a guest here at Nicola's home. I'm Jay Percy, the artist, by the way.
And I'm Nicola. And today we have an amazing episode. I'm so excited because we have one of my favorite people in the world here, Reena. So we're going to talk about tarot as a tool. Tarot as a fucking tool. Reena came up with that name for us yesterday, and I was so just like that is the name. Yes. So Reena Laubahari is a spiritual coach who is experienced in many disciplines, ranging from neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, to Kabbalistic angel magic, and more recently, neo-shamanism. This was prompted by the death of her mother 2 years ago, which led to a deeper interest in intergenerational trauma and cultural narcissism. She is currently approaching her final year in a master's in consciousness, spirituality, and transpersonal psychology, and has a YouTube channel where she posts daily. Here she fuses her knowledge together with the tarot to help her clients gain a more objective insight into issues they may be experiencing in their lives.
Do you know, when I saw that intro, I said to Nicola, like, that everything you do is where I'm looking to be in my timeline, like 5 years from now. You're like exactly what I envisioned for myself. So I'm so excited to have you talking today between the NLP, the Kabbalistic angel magic.
I know.
All the shadow work you do, even the masters that you're doing. That is like literally the masters I'm looking at getting onto in the next couple of years. I'm just so impressed by you. That is all. That is all.
She is super impressive. She is. Yeah. But this is like from day one, Jay was saying to me, oh my God, there's this MA that I want to do. And I was like, well, you have to meet my friend Reena because she's doing that MA and she's fucking amazing. But you're right. Like, so obviously we're talking about tarot. We're leading with tarot. But I do want to put this disclaimer out there and say, like, obviously Reena has this wealth of experience and skills. So we are going to talk about tarot. But I also just want to hear about all aspects of your work, because I feel like it would be a shame not to, basically, to limit you. But let's start. So, like, when it comes to... So you're a coach, you're a life coach, and you work with tarot. So do you want to explain to our listeners just kind of what you do with that?
Sure. Can you hear me okay, yeah?
Yeah.
Because I can see your thing going on the bar underneath, but underneath I can't see mine. But anyway.
Oh, don't worry. We can hear you. It's all good.
Oh, fabulous. Okay, so I mean, tarot infuses everything I do at the moment, so it's all very relevant. But I qualified as an NLP practitioner about 12 years ago. Before that, I was an actor. That's how I met Nikki. And then when I trained as a coach, I realised that I really loved coaching people and helping people. So through that, it just kind of grew, and then I started coaching, just being kind of general life coach, not really thinking about the spiritual. It came into influencing my work, but I didn't really fuse it together complicitly. And then as time went on, I kind of was in this space whether or not I was going to be an actor or a coach, and then I developed like a coaching program for actors, which I had to make the decision whether or not to do acting or coaching, and I actually put my own program into place in being an actor, and I ended up getting the roles I'd always dreamed of. I'd got up to the places where I wanted to, and then I realised that I didn't want to do it. I realised that this industry wasn't for me. Mm-hmm. So then it kind of led into a space where I stepped away, and I've just been kind of moving into this branch of spiritual coaching, and fusing all of that sort of good stuff together. And as I mentioned with the bio, like it's like my mum passed a couple of years ago, and that just really catalyzed like a lot of stuff to help me just take it forward. And she was always really up for me doing studying and whatnot. So when I saw this master's, I thought, right, this is a chance for me to fuse the academic with my spiritual side. And it's really interesting to know that there is a massive community of doctors and people and academics that are really spiritual. They're also shamans, they're also Kabbalistic priests, there's all sorts of people. So it's just a really interesting dynamic that's happening, and I'm just really happy to be venturing into this world really, and going deeper into that space. So
that's wonderful. Why do you think that this whole like almost like medicalized mental health, or like those sort of studies of the mind, go so well with the spiritual side of things? Why do you think there is this crossover with a lot of these doctors having these interests?
I think, you can do like a PhD in psychology, can't you? Or you can do like a master's in psychology. So then that would be something that would branch into like the Western idea of psychology. But if we look at, say, the Eastern or other traditions, their forms of psychology add such a richness and a transpersonal, a whole-bodied experience to psychology. And I think it's really important for us to consider that now, considering how the world is moving these days. If we just look at one side or the other, I think we're missing a lot there. So I feel like there's a real need, and I think collectively we're moving together to bring that all as one. There's definitely a massive shift with that. So yeah, I think it's so important. And there's a lot of doctors, like I read a lot of papers about doctors having epiphanies. They'll go through stuff where they'll be like maybe having trained medically or trained in a Western style for a long time, and then they'll have some kind of event happen to them, and then bam, they'll end up becoming like a kinesiology, because that's where I'm studying right now. So kinesiology, like specialist, or like or a shamanic practitioner, or like a plant medicine.
What is kinesiology?
It's to do with it's to do with how muscle testing. I'm sure Nikki knows a bit more than I do about this.
I think you probably know more. I want to hear your fresh off the book explanation.
It's about like, so it's basically how the muscles and how the body reacts to things. So the body doesn't lie. I don't. There's a big case that's going on in the media right now, and a lot of body experts are referring to that case in whether or not this person is lying or not in their testimony, and that's indicative of what their tells are in respect to how they are, because they're not going to tell you the truth. We're never going to know. So that was really interesting, and then it brought me back to an idea of using things like, say, pendulums. When you use a pendulum and it's one way or the other, that's kind of one of the most common forms of kinesiology. But there's also like, so for example, if you kind of center within your body, and then you ask yourself a question, like, for example, my name is Reena, I would swing forward. And then if I say, oh, my name is Jason Donovan, I'll swing backwards. So yeah, I just kind of like,
I just love the options.
So there are like subtle cues that our body.
So, yeah.
Okay. So there are like subtle cues that your body will give in order to like like you can read these subtle cues in the face, in the body. That's, I mean, I kind of knew that in the back of my head, but hearing it so explicitly put,
Yeah.
I think this is why I love talking about these things, because we'll have these like wild thoughts, and I'm sure so many of our listeners do. Like, I wonder if the world works like this, and then it's like, there's actually a whole study that I didn't even know. Today years old.
Oh my gosh.
Every
Yeah,
day's a school day.
exactly. There's so many bloody studies telling us like the truth of these things that the mainstream will tell us is bullshit, and let's not get there. But I think it's so interesting that like you mentioned pendulums and stuff, and that exercise of moving forward and backwards, because I learned when I was learning about using a pendulum, that was one of the exercises I used with my body, and I really found it interesting to understand, because obviously when you're using things for divination like that, sometimes you can, you know, I might be there with my pendulum going, okay, I really want this thing to happen, and it's telling me yes. So can I really trust like the thing? But understanding that it is actually like a message from you, from your inner,
from your
nervous
body,
system. From your nervous system.
Your nervous system, I think, is saying, I'm comfortable with this.
Exactly. That is a safe thing to move forward with. Yeah, I think that's really, really cool and important. I also wanted to say, like, how this is one of the reasons I wanted Reena to be on this show, because when I first met Reena, she was deep into her spirituality. She's an amazing medium, reader, life coach, all that kind of stuff. But you were just taking like another deep dive, I feel like, into your spiritual work. And then you found the MA. So you kind of moved from being where I was with just like this, like, I'm exploring and I'm finding all of it, to actually going, no, I'm going to become an academic with this. And I have so much respect for that, because it's
so much.
Do you know what I mean? It's like this stuff, again, like
I could lick you right now.
Luckily you're not here. I just feel like it's so important for us to realize, and you know, for people to realize that these things that we're discussing are actually things that science is genuinely looking at. You've got doctors who are looking at this stuff, and they're finding like truths and movements with it, which we're kind of scrambling about to discover. And I don't know, for me, that makes me feel, I wish that it was more of like an open space where I didn't feel like such a crazy hippie to think about all this stuff. But it makes me feel really comfortable in the fact that I know that the world is kind of like, we can't deny
it's expanding in that way. This metaphysical understanding. And we've always understood it culturally, but you know, a lot of non-dominant cultures have had their systems shut down through colonialism over hundreds of years. I think it's really great that these things are coming back. I also sort of have questions about who's now wielding the power. It's the people who took it out of circulation are now releasing the courses that this was my conflict with I'm doing the course. But who are we paying? I don't know. Whole other side conversation.
You need to have a phone call with Reena, I think. What's your experience been? I know it's been like,
that's definitely
say again.
Yeah, it's an interesting point you pick up on that, because there's a lot of spiritual narcissism that occurs within spiritual narcissism that occurs within academics. It is very much a white middle class, environment, and it astounds me, because these are practices that are absolutely not that, so it's really interesting to have that. There is a certain respect, and I mean, transpersonal psychology is a branch of psychology that's not recognized by the American Psychological Association. It's very much an active branch, but it's not recognized. People don't see it as like the kind of Western academics don't, or the traditional academic psychological side of that of the institution doesn't recognize that. So there's still some way to go. But you do have some pioneers there, and there's also only two branches that really, there's only like two spaces in the world that really welcome that, and that happens to be Los Angeles, obviously, and also London, and here in the UK. Really? So those are the two places, and that you can look at transpersonal psychology and study it. So yeah.
It is with the Aleph Trust you're studying, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, it is, and they're incredible. Yeah. They're really, really incredible. Great body, actually. So
I was looking at their you know, they're bite-size MA, which is just like a transpersonal coaching course for a year. I think it's really.
I'm doing the first module of that, actually. Yeah.
With that anyway, that's another conversation. I'll call you after.
Please, can I have some career guidance?
Yeah, we need career guidance. Maybe we should have called it this podcast.
No problem at all.
So tell me, how does all of this that you're studying like tie into tarot? Playing devil's advocate, isn't tarot just frivolous cards that teenage witches play with?
Good point. Are they?
Absolutely.
But I need people to know I was not being sincere with that. I've recently just spent £100 on a tarot deck.
Oh my god, this is another reason you guys need to know each other, because rather than eat, you'll buy cards.
I will buy cards.
Reena, how many boxes of
cards?
What deck
is it?
How many?
Curious. What deck is it?
Well, it's not a tarot deck. It's an oracle deck. It's oh my god. Oh, I need to get the name of this. It's based around the Bakongo cosmogram.
Oh.
Do you know that deck that I like?
Wow.
I'm actually gonna find this
you
while you
Google that.
So tell us why tarot isn't just for teenage witches.
I mean, tarot, like we have no idea where it really came from. It's kind of a breakdown of so many different archetypes and scenarios that to realize that this comes from, we have no idea, and how it really taps into our unconscious. I think there's something so sacred about that. And you know, when I was taught by my teacher years ago, there's one way of reading the cards, and then there's several different ways of reading the cards, but really being able to read the cards is something different. Like, for me to be able to look into your soul with the tarot cards is very different from me telling you whether or not you're going to like get with this guy or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Or if you're going to get this job.
How do you find those level of questions? I mean, I know I do a lot of readings, and I feel like that's a lot of the time the type of questions that
it's like every other question is does that boy like me? Should I stay with that person? You know,
no shade. Like, people are obviously out here having to contend with fucking Tinder. So like I completely get if you need to go to a reader and like determine this thing. But what's your sort of approach to those types of questions that you get?
Well, I mean, I've been quite lucky to have certain clients that will ask me questions that they'll be able to take the answer quite literally, that I'll be able to give to them, in the respect of that it's more about what you attract, and I know that you've spoken about it in your past podcast episodes about the law of attraction, and it's very interesting about how we develop as people to kind of make our world, and the tarot is that tool to be able to do that. It also helps you to I see it as me mapping out timelines, and then it's your choice whether or not to go on that timeline or not, depending on what choices you make. So it's a real, it's a multi-dimensional tool. I've just connected with this tarot reader who is just beyond. She came from a family of astrologers. She's in her 60s. She's incredible. And she uses it to connect with your spiritual team, to be able to look at your different lifetimes and how your past lives affect your current lives and how you can take it forward. Also, how to connect with extraterrestrials as well and other bodies. It's just really incredible. I recently got an oracle deck that's called the Mystic Martian Oracle, and that's just been so mind-blowing with things about extra-dimensional beings and how these beings actually play a part in who we are. So it's just so I'm looking at my collection right now in front of me, but like it's just so vast. You can explore so much, and I'm so with you on spending like that amount of money on cards.
Oh my god, I had to sit there and justify, like, I've got so much expenses coming up over the next couple of months. Got like a wedding to pay for, like friends' hen do's, traveling across the world. I'm like, I'm just gonna spend £100 on this deck, this oracle deck, because it's a limited run. There's only 50 left, and she's not printing anymore. So I'm gonna get it. I can't find it. I can't get to the internet in here, but
I'll sort that out. Sorry, babe.
But it's based around the Bakongo Cosmogram, and it's like an oracle deck, and it just looks so friggin' like interesting.
I need to see it. You can Google it on my phone. I'm on the internet. I was just going to say, like, so Jay's decisions this month are: should I get that limited run of tarot cards this month, or should I get married to the man I've been with for 10 years? Do you know what's the most important? Reena, if Reena was to turn the camera around right now so you could see her tarot collection, you'd realise it's like the whole, like, 5 walls of her entire house, floor to ceiling.
How many do you
Half
have?
of them. How many of them are still in their cellophane wrap, Reena?
One. No, just one. Just one. But like whether or not I've used them to the extent, just because, well, I've taken them out the wrap, but they're still there, so they're pretty much brand new.
I looked at them once. I put them back.
Yeah,
they are a collector's
But the point is that you have them. You have them, and they're there, and that's the important thing.
Exactly.
Oh my god, this podcast is just going to be full of witchy cackles. That's what's happening right now.
Well,
I love it.
If you don't know, get to know. Why did you come here if you didn't want witchy cackles?
Oh my god.
Oh, the joy.
So I want you to start thinking now, my darling Reena, about what deck you think would be the most useful to use for our listeners. I'd love you to pull a card. You don't have to do it right in this moment, but I wanted to let you know that I wanted you to do that.
Well, it's interesting. I started looking at my decks, and I was like, am I going to have to pull one? And then you say it. I hear you with the limited editions, because I've ended up like spending my food money on limited editions, because these are pieces of art as well. You know, these are like, you know, you don't know if you're going to get these again, and most often they don't do them again.
Yeah.
So there was one particular deck I got, which was ridiculous, but I just knew that it was going to be worth it, because there's only like 50 left, like you say, or 70 left. There was 70 when I saw. So yeah. But in respect to decks, I don't know. Wow, I have no idea. I don't know. This is the thing. Like, there's either dark or light.
Oh.
So there's either like dark decks or there's like a lighter deck. I mean, I've got one deck that I'm going to read with later that I can show you. And that's a really beautiful deck called the Rainbow Heart Tarot. And it's quite bright. But the reason why I like this deck is because the moon actually has a full picture of the female vulva on there. And I really like that.
Yeah. I love it.
And I thought, wow, it's just like that, and it's the moon card. Yeah. That's the moon card. So I just thought it was just beautiful, and that was probably one of the main reasons I got it. But yeah, that's the deck I'm going to use today for my reading today.
Okay.
Maybe I can do
so
that.
Yes, for sure. Although we are also always open for the dark stuff here, so I don't know. When you said that, I was like, ooh,
intrigued.
Ooh, give us the hard shit. Can you not find it?
No, I can't find it. Maybe I'll have to do an end card, and you can.
Yeah. We'll do an end card.
Yeah. By the way,
this is the deck. So you do, and I know you've spoken about this a little bit already, but you do life coaching with tarot, and it's like a bigger set. I just kind of want to explain to people, because I feel like, for example, when I've sent people to you, everyone's always come out and been like, oh my God, she is insane, like insanely phenomenal. But they also weren't expecting the kind of process that you took them on with it, if that makes sense. Like this whole way of actually utilize, not just going, yeah, that thing is going to happen at this point. We're going, okay, so this is how you can support yourself to do the thing, or whatever it is. Tell us about your process of it.
Okay, I think I ask questions. Okay. I'm a really inquisitive person. I want to know why. I want to know why people do the things that they do. And if I can see it, if I can see it in front of me, and also also in front of me, quite literally, like when I've had the client in front of me, I can usually like get some kind of reading just by looking at them and then what they present to me. Then I can start to just have a general kind of view with the cards. The cards almost give me permission to say stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can like go in, and then I will start to see. Recently I did a reading on the shadow, and it was like a pick a card reading, where basically like you've got like 3 different cards. You can choose a pile, and then you can flick to the timestamp, and then you can go and see your reading. And in there I was like really blatant, and I didn't know if it was going to be acceptable for something like YouTube. But funnily enough, it blew up. So like there was like that was my most popular video so far. So like I thought, wow. So, and I mean, it's okay on a one-to-one basis, because I feel like the clients that will come to me will be able to take that information. I've been very lucky to have that. The right kind of clients that really want to know about themselves can actually take what I'm going to say. And I will always say it with their best interest at heart. It's about me trying to make them a better person, or trying to get them to see how they can make themselves a better person more correctly, actually, because I don't have any influence on anything, and neither should these cards. They're not. This is all about your journey and your process. And even if you hear the information and you're not able to take it, that's also part of your process. And that's so important.
Sometimes you're not in the right point in your life to hear the advice. Sometimes you don't have the tools to get there. And that anger or that frustration at that response can sometimes teach us that, like, so clearly I need to be asking for everything around this thing to be able to be prepared to receive this thing, this information, this task. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, but it will also come in its own time. You know, if you're not even ready to get to that point, that's okay too. I think it's, and I really want to offer support in that respect. You know, there's that time and place, and maybe, you know, the recording of the video of the reading that I do with you, that might happen, that might stay with you, and you might have that, and then you might not look at it maybe for a year later, and then you'll be like, wow, okay, now I'm ready to receive this information. I'm ready to integrate this information more correctly. So
it's just such an important point, I think, with all of this. I definitely spent a lot of my 20s bashing my head against the wall, thinking that I should be able to do, like, receive every message that was coming to me and integrate it and be better, like, immediately, and all that kind of shit. And like, this stuff does take time, and I think I love that you've just said that, because I think it's another really important point. If you are going to use these tools, to kind of realize that it isn't just cut and dry. Like, we're not working with things in like a kind of what we would see as like a logical linear fashion. We're working with energies that we don't understand. Oh, sorry, just yank the headphone out of it. And I think that's really important. So as a
joined headphone.
So I just think it's really important to kind of recognize that, you know, like the nature of the universe, the way it works, we don't fully understand. And these are all tools to kind of begin to tap into that. So really having that openness of mind and heart as much as possible, especially with yourself in regards to these things when you're getting them done, is really important. Because everything, I do hate it, but everything does kind of come at the right time.
I have to spend so much of my existence going, be patient.
Be patient. With the right
when
time.
It comes.
Yeah, but you got Capricorn though. Capricorn.
You
and your Earth.
Babe,
your Earth
do you know
moon.
what?
Yeah, so there's Capricorn.
I brought.
So that's why you're like.
I don't know if you're right, Reena.
She's brought out her file.
I've got the charts.
Oh dear.
I've got the charts. Okay, I'm getting them out.
What is this?
I just knew it. I knew Reena was going to say something about astrology, and I wanted to be like, okay, so.
Oh, okay. So for our listeners, Nicola has pulled out a file, and she has like. Are you keeping a dossier on everyone?
This is all of my friends. So I know their souls. No. I do. I don't know what it is. Really? Oh no, I thought I had it right here.
No. Is
that not it? Is that one there?
No, that's mine. Oh no, I don't have it. That's so annoying, because I'm
gonna blame Mercury.
It's
retrograde.
Mercury fucking. Oh no, here it is. No, that's not it. Fuck you, Mercury. No, I'm joking. Don't. But no, I pulled it out because I just knew Reena's just so clued up on all this stuff. Oh my gosh.
Are you largely into your astrology?
She just knows everything, a bit of everything, I think.
It plays a massive part in my
How
work.
does that influence your tarot?
Like I wouldn't say that I'm.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely. Like all of the tarot cards have. So the next kind of like stage, I kind of flit around with different kind of learning stuff about the tarot and learning about the decans and about each of the star signs and how they reside within each of the different cards is really interesting. So each card has at least one star sign to it, and then it has another kind of behind it. So, and actually it has three. So it's really interesting mapping those out. So, for example, if you pull out, say, one sword, which is one sword, the Ace of Swords. Say you pick out the Ace of Swords, that's indicative of all the air signs, which is Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius. So yeah.
Well done.
Aquarius is the slippery one because it is the water bearer, but it is an air sign.
Yeah, I do always get confused about that. So I am trying to learn sidereal astrology right now. That's all I have to say about it. I'm trying. So I'm just impressed that you remember what the signs are. No, I pulled it. Look, sorry, I know that I'm probably going back on the subject now because I was distracted by the birth charts. But it's because you said that I have Capricorn moon. Which rising, right? Which I don't have in my true chart, and I'm getting a bit confused about it. Maybe you can help me. Okay. So obviously, in my true chart, I'm a Fucus. I'm the 13th sign. It just basically means I'm super mystical and shamanistic. Anyway, we knew that. And then, and then my rising sun.
Well, we know that anyway. Even in your normal chart, it
does.
Even in your tropical chart, you are deeply psychic. Yeah, you are deeply psychic.
Yes.
Okay.
And
I see it.
That's just like the best compliment that you could get, really. I love that. And then my rising sign is Sagittarius and my moon is Leo. Do you think that makes sense?
Okay. Well, I know that there's a lot of fire in your chart. Yeah. It is, but I mean,
she's from Peckham.
I'd have to look at like some of the others.
Everyone from Peckham just has all fire in their chart, like nothing else.
Fire and air, they're about that smoke.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Sorry. Right, okay. Yeah. But yeah. Yeah, I think it's all dependent, and also like whereabouts Sagittarius is. But I mean, also that's quite fiery. Like you want something now, you want to understand it now, you want the result to be immediate. That's moving fast.
Yeah,
you need
first
that.
house.
Oh well, then yeah, that's you. That's yourself. That's how you develop. That's it's all about you, babe.
Gosh, and I thought I was the one learning astrology. Reena, can I just send you this chart? I should have done it before we started.
I'm in my tropical. I'm Cancer Sun, Scorpio Moon, Cancer Rising.
But in sidereal, you are.
Wow.
Oh, but her sidereal was so close to her tropical as well, because it's Sun. So your Sun is
Cancer.
Still in Cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Ascendant is also in Cancer.
My bitch.
You bloody are.
I am the.
And then where's your moon? Your moon is just in Libra.
Libra.
Wow. Okay. So super, super, super water. And also that balance and wanting to be fair. And is it hard for you to make decisions?
Is it hard for me to make decisions?
I'm not saying anything.
Oh my god. I struggle. I am struggle bus when it comes to. No, do you know what? We're gonna, in the spirit of NLP, yes. I'm increasingly looking to find ways to be more decisive about shit.
A diplomatic way, of course. That's illegal.
We're aware of the manifestation. It's like, do you know what I mean?
If you say your shit, if a man say him a ting, so if you say your shit, it'll follow, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's some phone shop quotation for you, by the way.
Keeping it real.
So yeah, with all of that
Amazing.
water, especially for me, I'm particularly fascinated by the Cancer Sun Scorpio moon, because I guess the Scorpio being the sort of stinger of things, right? But also being in my moon, it I don't know. I kind of interpret that to be something I'm contending with in my life. You know, that sort of my viciousness, because I can be very vicious. Everyone thinks I'm so lovely.
It also depends what house
Sorry?
it's in as well.
Do you know what house it is?
No.
So if you check
No,
out
I
what
don't know
house
what
it's
house
in,
it's in.
Well, she has in sidereal moon in Libra in the 4th house. I don't know what that means.
okay, so that's to do with like money and possessions and like home and how you, yeah, your material wealth basically. Hold on, 4th house. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, Cancer. Yeah, 4th house. So it's to do with home. Actually, no, not material possessions, but family. Um. So yeah, I'd have to look at your chart.
Didn't worry, I'll send it right
Um,
over after this. No, I'm joking.
Can I just say, Nicola, I am just impressed that you have like a dossier on all of your
Okay,
friends.
look, I'm going to say this honestly, right? Every single person whose chart is in there has said it's okay at some point. I don't know if it's still okay, but
why does that make it sound more suspicious? I asked them.
I have to
promise.
practice. I have to practice, and I just was like, I don't know, you know. Sometimes I'm looking at the charts. I'm like, okay, well, this is what I do. Okay, it's not bad. I'm obviously just practicing because I don't know. We can tell I'm the one with the notes here. Reena's the one who's telling us what it's about. Like, so I'm practicing, but I'm also find something so beautiful when I start to understand it. I'm like, oh my god, okay, so I understand that about Jay. I get that about Jay. So as her friend, I can maybe be more like that to her because that's her strength. That's
actually really sweet.
I know I'm such a sweet person. Like I just think of
I have
so
customized friendship based on how you are.
No, I just thought, you know, you're getting on in life. I recognize that astrology is a science, and I feel like I just need all the help I can get when it comes to just being a human. Do you know what I mean? And that's what it's about.
It's the closest thing to an instruction manual you're going to get.
That's literally it. And
the
I
closest.
think,
you're not going to get given your
exactly. And I love an instruction manual. I love it. So it just tells me, okay, this is what it is. You don't have to think about it anymore. No, but it's amazing. I do love it. Yeah, it's your knowledge is so cool. Like I just love you. Amazing. Sorry, woman crush moment. So I want to talk to you a bit about, I don't really know if you really do it much. I know you do actually. I know it's integrated in your work, but years and years and years ago this is a story of Reena and I. We were on a TV show together and we liked each other, but we didn't we Facebook friend each other, which meant we just stalked each other for like 10. I don't know if you stalked me, but I stalked you. And basically like Reena was off, and it was just really cool because at the time it was like we were playing ninjas. There were like 3 people of color in the entire country who were actors and martial artists at the same time, and we were all on that job. So immediately I was like, okay, these are cool girls. We Facebook friends, and you know, didn't speak to each other for about 10 years. But the whole time I kept Reena in my peripherals because I was like, she is awesome. Like one day she's doing her life coaching, the next day she's off learning mediumship, the next day she's writing about her belly dance. She's an amazing belly dancer. Like next day she's right. It just was amazing. And then when we actually finally reconnected, it felt like so good. So I want to talk to you a little bit about, because your mediumship, if I'm honest, like when I saw that on Facebook, I was like, oh, I know now that me and Reena need to know each other. It still took me 5 years to text you, but like I want to talk a bit about that. Do you use mediumship still? Like what are your do you still you connect with the spirits through your tarot, but do you do mediumship channeling? Like what's your process with all of that as well?
So it's interesting, the story with mediumship, because like when I practiced Vipassana about in 2015, that kind of cleared the way. And then Vipassana, just for those that don't know, is insight meditation. So it's where you observe yourself for like a number of hours and you learn how to just kind of clear yourself completely. And then then the mediumship just came up, and I found myself like this super open channel, which was really great. And I was getting strong messages. But as we've moved towards the shamanism aspect and I resonate really strongly with that, in the respect of that, and this is purely my belief. I know that this is very, very, and this could be quite controversial, but you know, I don't really feel that communicating with spirits regularly is a good thing. You know, with shamanic practices, where you know, there's a sense of you being able to escort the dead, and being able to keep the dead. The dead are supposed to be where the dead are. They're either supposed to go to where they're supposed to go, or they either get trapped in this place, or they get attached to certain things, or with us, who have like holes or gaps to enter in. So I'm just I'm mindful of that. And it's interesting you mentioned about us meeting up again, because when you came into contact with me was when I was about to take ayahuasca. And that blasted my eyesight completely open to everything. Like, I was able to see everything, and I wasn't able to shut it off for a couple of months. So like, I learned how to shut that down and also utilize it in the way that I could. So I could only choose to see it and sense it when it was necessary.
Sorry, what did you see?
And
what
now,
did you see?
Sorry, go on.
What did
oh my god! So like,
I just want to say this has gone directly the way I wanted it to go.
I study everyone's charts, because like I want to be a better person. No, because I want to direct things.
Puppet master here.
I see you, girl. I see you. Yeah. So, but I love you though for it. So, like, I wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah. So, what did I see? I saw basically I saw things that had been noted down, like these entities, these particular entities that had been described by Carlos Castaneda and some other well-known people, but also Nikki and two other people mentioned to me that they had seen these entities before, and before my ayahuasca vision I hadn't seen them, and I actually full-on observed these things, and then after that I saw them everywhere, and I was like, and I was horrified, because this is something that kind of, that, you know, you can put it in a psychological perspective. You can put it for the layman for them to understand. But really, I think, you know, if we really realize that there is this other world, there are other worlds that are interacting with us that we can't see, and these are affecting us on a daily basis. And just, I was totally overwhelmed, basically. It was like a Snapchat filter. So it's just been put on. And I was like, wow, I can't look anywhere. And I'm just seeing these things on people, and I just can't. And it was the same with the mediumship. Like, the mediumship, I had voices just totally overwhelming me. Like, I was like an open phone line. And and it's that process of like understanding that you're opening the channel and then closing it down, and then only being specific so that you can protect your energy. So that was the process. But the things were, yeah, it's insane. It's insane, the worlds that you see. You can see people with stuff, like, for example, if you see, an example I can give you is, like, for example, if you see somebody who's, we have quite a few beggars around Barking, where I live, and it's really interesting to see the different entities that are attached to these people, because there's usually quite a lot.
Okay. So no, I'm just thinking about this because
It's just crazy. I was like,
no. Do you know what? I have
like,
been feeling
seriously.
shitty all week. Basically, in my day job, I work on apps, and I'm not going to say what apps I work on, but I work on quite well-known TV show apps, and do you know it's good because it's regular income, but it's also very, very stressful. And I was sort of doing 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. most days this week, 7:30 even. I was just feeling drained. And by the time sort of Thursday or Wednesday got around, I was like, I'm definitely, something is on me. Something is on me. And I took a look at my altar. The night before, I could hear noise going on the altar. The cat apparently was staring at the altar, whatever. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take a look at the altar just to see what the fuck's going on. And there's a card from the Hoodoo Tarot deck that I have that was turned over facing upwards. And it was like, I think it's father of what's it in the Hoodoo Tarot deck, like not fire, but it was sticks, that was it. Father of sticks. Hoodoo Tarot has a slightly different configuration in that the female cards are the highest ranking, and then the father's are second to the female to the like the queen cards essentially. But this particular card is it talks about head washing with brandy. It talks about a Native American man who would head wash with brandy. So I was like, oh my god, I need to grab a bottle of brandy. I don't drink. The only reason I have like rum and brandy and shit around the house is literally for this purpose.
For the spells.
For the spell work. Yeah. So I went and I washed my head with brandy, and it felt like something had just lifted off of me. Like literally a weight had just... And I definitely didn't turn over that tarot card. All of my tarot cards face down. I do that specifically, so when I go to the altar, if something is turned other way up, I can see exactly what I'm being told. And
I can't believe you're only sharing this with me right now.
I thought I'd save it for today, babe.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but so what?
I love that. I love that.
I know, it's maddening, right? But these entities, they like... You think some of the people who are experiencing the most misfortune in our society have these things attached to them?
Sorry, I don't know. I haven't got anything coming from DPD. Sorry about that. They just like to press all the doors, but anyway, and all the doorbells. Yeah, sorry about that. But that was probably spirit. Yes, I did do that. Yes.
You can find the spiritual in everything, even that Amazon delivery driver. He doesn't have
You absolutely can. Sometimes you will get the weirdest signs at the weirdest time, and you're just not looking for signs, so you don't see it.
Yeah. But ask that question again.
Did the doorbell ring? Did your doorbell?
So somebody pressed the door. So they pressed both doorbells, so that I heard them press downstairs doorbell.
You heard it here first, folks. When a bell rings, the fairy gets its wings or something. I take that as a resounding yes to my question. Do you think some of these people who have the most misfortunes in our society have these entities attached to them?
That's quite a controversial question, but me, from what I've found out over the last couple of years, yeah. In a short
answer. I think, these questions are quite controversial because, you know, there's always going to be you're always going to get people who go, no, but there's whole social, political reasons for these things happening. Like, I am not saying that these things do not exist. I'm saying there are worlds on top of worlds, and two things can be true. It's not necessarily one and the other. If you can look at someone in a position in their life, you can look at it from a sociological point of view, you can look at it from a political point of view, you can look at it from a psychological point of view. The spirituality, or whatever you call it, whether it's the Obya, the Vedic stuff, whatever your name for your spirituality is, that's just another level of explanation for what is going on in this realm, in my opinion. Which for me makes it less controversial. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't be lobbying your politicians to do the right fucking thing. But it also means maybe a head wash.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Maybe both.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I'm an anarchist, so I fundamentally don't agree with the first thing I said, but whatever. Another episode.
Okay, I feel you. I hear you. No, but I think it's interesting for you to even say that, because I think just to consider both sides of the coin. So in touching on the like intergenerational and ancestral trauma, which you just covered in your last released episode, which was amazing.
Thank you.
I think it's important to realize that this continues, like it's and these things that they kind of reside, like it could be said to be trauma, but then from a spiritual perspective, it could be that an entity has decided to come in the wound and reside in that wound and feed in that wound and give whatever they need, like give that power, you know. It's that whole idea of you go into contracts of whether or not these entities have made these kind of contracts with the self, probably more likely the ego self or the lower self, and said, I'll give you this power, and I'll help you in this way if you help me or if you house me. So it's very interesting how that happens, and it's not obvious, and we can have so many different types of explanations for it, but I don't think it's unusual to think about it. I think it's important to actually, because stories like the stories that we tell, fairy tale stories and things like that, I think they give us an opportunity to give us more perspective in our understanding of how we work and to overcome those issues. So
yeah, totally agree. Gosh, I'm sorry. I'm just going to say I'm really woman crushing out right now. I just feel surrounded by like amazing
It's
people.
So great.
Anyway, okay, serious.
It's like a mirror. Three-way mirror.
All the love. Would you do a little reading for us? Do we need to give you a question?
Yeah. I don't know if I want to use that tarot deck or not. I've got a really cool deck that's coming out to me called the Pulp Tarot, which is really cool, but it's a bit, I don't know. I could show you.
Do you feel intuitively that that's the deck you should go for?
Yeah. Don't judge it. Just pick.
Don't judge it. Just really do it. Just go with the spirit, man.
Okay, then bear with me 1 second. I'll just go and get it.
We need to think of something to ask.
Wait, I've got a house that I'm supposed to buy. Do you know what? I did a reading on myself the other day asking about a house because I've got a choice between 2 houses, and it was putting up loads of like coin cards, like pentacles, and basically saying, oh, it's looking good. But then I pull up like 3 of knives or 3 of swords, 3 of knives, and I took this as there's going to be, in the long term, there's going to be some good around this, but there's also going to be a bit of a downfall at some point. And I asked, how long is this downfall going to last for? So I pull the 3 of knives. I'm like, okay, 3. What does 3 mean? I'm like, can you give me more clarification? And I pull the Sun card. So that I took that as like 3 years. I thought it was quite clear in terms of how I specifically use the Sun and the Moon card in terms of like timings in deck, because the Moon represents months, right? The Sun represents years. So an economic downturn for 3 years is what I pulled. And I don't know how this relates to the house, but I'm also kind of, I kind of want to know what's happening with my home situation at the moment. It was a long way of me going on about this. I just whittled on for like 3 minutes about.
No, that's fine.
Tell me, where am I living? House.
Well, I mean, you've just told me about 2 cards. You've just told me about the 3 of swords. You told me that you've got pentacles, and then you also told me that you've got. You said that you got lots of pentacles. You got the 3 of swords, and then you also got the Sun. So I need to know what the pentacles were. And how many cards you picked.
I pulled 2 cards because I normally will pull 3 cards. The only reason I pulled the Sun was to clarify the 3 of knives.
Yep.
So I pulled.
What were the other 2?
I pulled Mother of Coins, Pentacles,
Queen of Pentacles, yeah.
3 of Pentacles.
Oh, okay. So you got 2. So you got 3. So you got, because I've got that deck, so I know that deck as well, and that's an amazing deck. I actually got it a year ago. Somebody gifted it to me.
So lucky.
So
gift us tarot decks, please.
Yeah,
not you. Just
Reena has given me a tarot. She's given me a beautiful deck that I've used 3 times.
Yeah. So I called the Queen 3 of Pentacles and then 3 of Knives.
Yeah. So 3. Sorry. So what was the first card again?
Pentacles, 3 of Pentacles. They're not pentacles, they're coins in that deck. And then 3 of Knives. You know the one where he's like sat under a tree and he's got like 3 knives in his heart. And...
Well, I mean, yes, So I mean, there's some, I don't know. Are you looking to move house?
I am. I'm looking to buy a new house
because it seems to me that like you've got some kind of like there's a real attachment to where you are, and there's going to be some real pain, and you have to like let that go. You know that there's something that you have to build in order to like make something new, but you have to let go of something, and that's really keeping you held on to this space. So you saying the 3 of, by picking the Sun to me, and because you've just given me that beautiful like explanation of the 3 of like these 3 years, it might be like 3 years before you work yourself into a space where you can like really fully move on, maybe. Wow. I don't know.
Okay, that's so fascinating, because I'm getting this house in the hopes that, because basically I'm in a 1 bed, and like everyone in lockdown, I was kind of tied to this place, but my altar is there. So I've set up this space so it's just a spiritual space. So of course something's going to be tethering me to it. It's the door number is a double number, so for me that's like a big thing. It's been my home for like 4 or 5 years, and I've just been sort of sat there during the lockdown, working from home, painting from home, everything from home. So I feel like there is definitely going to be some kind of imprint on that space that I need to like clear out. But when I eventually do move, the whole reason I'm moving is so I can have like extra studio space, because eventually I'm transitioning from the day job to full-time artist. So I need a space to be able to expand with my art. At the moment, I am just cramped. It is so cramped. And really, I want to be able to make that transition. So I'm sort of wondering, like, when do I get to make that transition into the full-time? Actually, that's probably more of the question I want to know about my buddy life.
I also felt like
that's a big thing as well, about like when we and I think it's really important that you did that. It's about the questions we ask, because if you ask, and this is really blunt, if you ask stupid questions, you'll get stupid answers. If you don't, if you're not specific in the question, I think you have to be really clear about your question, then you can get a really good answer. And it's always about the good question. So that question about you saying, how can I transition to moving? That is a whole big reading which you can explore and give yourself. And then in terms of coaching, you would be able to like give yourself like a steady kind of
to
plan
get to that point
where you'd be able to work with your path.
That's so cool.
There you go. Very
juicy. Love that.
Very, very, very juicy.
Do you have a question that you want her to pull cards on?
No, I've only got stupid questions, and I really don't need any more stupid answers.
Okay. Tell me about this transition as I look to leave the workforce and become a full-time artist / podcaster.
You want me to do that with these guys, yeah? Okay, so just to give you a little bit of information about this deck. This deck is it's called the Pulp Tarot, which is by Todd Alcott. It's a limited edition deck, and it's all pin-ups, like 50s pin-ups and stuff.
You're not allowed to buy it.
No.
So yeah,
I absolutely would.
Got it out. Stop. You can't.
There's no option.
Okay, so tell me what the question was again. How can you make this transition into being a full-time artist? Is that what it was?
And podcaster. Jesus, the podcast.
Don't forget that.
Don't forget that.
And a podcast. Okay, well, I mean, this would involve probably a bit of a bigger reading. So I'll just do a
mini
small reading, and if you want to go deeper, I will hit you up. So yeah,
I will be hitting you up. That is happening.
Okay.
I could already sense that about 5 minutes ago. I was like, oh. Reena's gonna have some clients.
Okay. So the way, I mean, if you watch some of my readings, like cards jump out. Spirit gives me, and one just jumped out. So I've got Temperance here, which is the first one.
Beautiful.
Is that telling me to be patient or something?
So that it's telling you that you need to be, like there's some balancing that needs to go on. Your moon is in Libra, right?
Libra or Scorpio, depending on which one you look at.
Okay, then. So, like, I think that there needs to be some, like, with this, you have like one. She's male and female. So this slightly hermaphroditic kind of vibe, and also 1 foot in the water, and also 1 foot on the ground. So there's this sense of being able to have this real balance and being able to fuse the elements together. So it seems to me that you're in this process of learning how to calibrate yourself, because this is a big transition. And, you said something quite significant at the beginning of our conversation where you said what I'm doing, or what the stuff that I'm doing is something that you would like to be doing in 5 years' time. So there's a process in that. It's like, wanting it immediately. It's going to take time for you to learn all those elements, get your mind into that mindset, get the square peg moving more into a round, make it more round, make it into the more kind of the shape you want Jay to be now, because the person who Jay is currently is not the person who you want to be right now, and you need to make those steps. And that's happening. You are doing it, like you are. It's transmuting and it's happening. You've also got it's the number 14, so it's 5. That's quite a challenging card, so it is uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie. You're in a place where it is not easy, but Temperance is the ability to have that resilience and ultimately patience within yourself. Meditation, being calm with yourself, taking time. These are things you're doing already, I can sense, but like just how can you integrate this into something that is just normal for you, like that it's so normal that your old life will be literally falling away like a kind of old skin, so to speak.
Okay, thank you.
And that was just one card.
That's really good, because I do feel like I'm constantly talking about essentially like jumping timelines. Essentially every decision you make puts you in that timeline that you want to be closer to, right? Or that one, or keeps you in the same one. And I'm essentially continuously looking to jump timelines, because I've always seen myself having a very specific life. It hasn't really planned out as I thought it would, but I think I'm slowly heading towards that point. Yeah.
That I just knowing you, I just think, that's, you've said everything she needed to hear, kind of thing. Funnily enough, I actually went on to Instagram Live yesterday, and there was a couple of people. Oh, I feel so bad that I don't remember the names, but they were doing readings, and I asked a similar thing about the podcast for us, and it was a very similar explanation. And I feel like they kind of gave me a few steps. So when you're talking about kind of creating the steps to be fully in that Jay that you want to be, especially in regards to the podcast, like they were talking about, it was funny because in the moment I was like, what are you talking about? They were like, you guys kind of need to make it more spiritual. Like you need to kind of connecting in that way and And I was sitting there thinking, it's literally a spiritual podcast. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then I thought, actually, it is, but we do our spiritual, we do all this stuff kind of higher up. Like we're bringing it into the normalcy for people, so that it's accessible, so that it's not so far away and scary. But actually, I do feel like there's a space for this. This is why I love this, because we've had for the first time ever on our spiritual podcast an actual reading. And this is what I feel like is going to be really good for us to start to do with each other, and kind of bring the actual work, the physical work that we really do into the podcast.
Bring it to the forefront.
Yeah, and actually start doing those things again more together. So Jay and I have started doing, we call it Friday service. Which is just where we get together. We were like, come on, we're a beer women. We need to make sure that we're practicing. We need to be practicing together, because obviously we started the journey together. And so we get together, we do journeys, we do things like that. And I just feel like, I don't know, for both of us, I feel like we really want our lives just to look like that every day.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
To be able to get up and have the time and the space just to be able to make room for this, make the spiritual stuff at the forefront. I don't want it to be an afterthought in my life. I want it to be something that's really deeply integrated into my life and has like dedicated time and space for it.
Exactly. Because otherwise, I kind of think, what's the point?
What's the point?
What's the point? My darling Reena, I would thank you so much. I just love you. Tell us quickly about like where we can find you. So like your social media, your YouTube channel, that kind of thing.
Sure. So it's Gold Key Guidance, all one word. That's Gold Key Guidance. And you can find me on Instagram and on YouTube. So.
Amazing.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. Honestly,
you're so welcome. Thanks for having me, Becky. It's so
I'm definitely going to be stalking and bothering you after this. Just to prepare you. Is there anything you would like our listeners to know right as we sign off?
Just remember that you are the creators of your own destiny. These are all just tools to help you along the way, and if they call you, just use them to help you guide your own intuition. It's you who's the main protagonist in this story, not cards. So or anything else. So.
Yeah, that is a good message. You are the main character.
Yeah.
Act like it. Make some decisions.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for listening, you beautiful, beautiful beings of multiverse. You can find us on the socials. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at the Afro Animist Podcast. You can tweet us on Twitter at Afro Animists. Screw you, Elon. We need longer spaces so we can put our whole name up, whatever. We're also on YouTube, the Afro Animist Podcast. And we're just finding more and more platforms to expand into as we grow.
Yes.
So please share, follow, tell a friend to tell a friend. We are looking to build this community, and we're looking to bring on more wonderful people like Reena. So please, if you have someone you'd like to suggest as a guest, or if you even think in the back of your mind you might make a good guest, have that confidence and reach out to us, because we are just open. We are here.
Yes, we're here for the real stories, man. I'm about the real stories.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been such this has maybe been my favourite so far. I've loved doing this. It's been so fun. So again, thank you so much, my darling. Thank you also for offering us the reading, because I didn't ask her beforehand, so I knew that was a bit cheeky for me to ask. But we will thank you all for listening, and we will catch you next week. Bye.